One thing here, I'm going to hold a little sermon today because I've kind of had it with the BS that I'm being targeted with. This whole thing started because I was targeted by a cocaine cartel run by the city of Rockford. All right, 1978, I was lured into this deal to buy this property after there'd been a murder. Okay. Somehow they wanted to cover the fingerprints. All right, this was 1978. I got lured in by the head Democrat, who was a campaign manager for the next 3 mayors for 24 years. McNamara, Box, and Mayor Scott. His campaign manager was Tom Meyer. Tom Meyer owned the largest crack house in Winnebago County called Concord Commons. He bought that in 1978, the same year I got lured in. Amcor Bank was the bank that loaned him the money, and he never had to pay back the mortgage. The bank that made that loan was Amcor Bank, and I found out just recently that the largest stockholder of Amcor Bank was my Mormon bishop. Not only that, but when Tom Meyer and his agent stole $500,000 from me between 1978 and 2002 when they took me to court, Larry Morrissey, who became the next mayor, withheld the evidence in the case. My real estate partner, Bruno, had withheld the accounting from me for 25 years and threatened me every time I asked that I would be sued if I kept pushing it. Well, it turns out that they had a Judge Ron Perello, awaiting me in 2002 when they did file suit. First thing they did was held court without me. All right? They held court without me and took all my rights away to the properties. The properties we owned at the time was this sixplex, which I bought in 1978, then got conned into taking on the alderman's head Democrat's accountant as my partner. Took him on as my partner, and then he stole me blind for the next 25 years. So we bought this one in 1978. I invested $50,000 to renovate the inside of this place. It's beautiful on the inside. And then in 1986, we bought this house, which is the oldest house in Winnebago County, and this brownstone in 1986. We bought these properties from the granddaughter of the original builder of this building, who was the original builder of City Hall over at First and Walnut. This building here is the second City Hall, and by sheer irony and coincidence, it was built by a Mormon contractor, built by a company owned by a Mormon contractor, who my dad worked for when he came to Rockford. So you're starting to follow the money trail and the influences here? So in 1978, I was lured into this property here by a friend from church who quit a month afterwards. And then I got the cartel's accountant, the agent of the head Democrat in town, to be my partner. He sent me a letter saying he'd take care of the property when I was at BYU. Well, oddly enough, the president of BYU at the time was a Mormon guy who is now an apostle. That apostle's son-in-law now owns my property that I paid off in 1993. Helped start a newspaper, discovered the cocaine cartel in Rockford, exposed much of it, followed the most famous murder mystery in America in Arkansas. And then, when I came back, I got arrested. And we caught the chief judge of the circuit court molesting children. They arrested me, threatened to beat me up. I was the assistant editor of a newspaper at the time. And the harassment only increased from there. As I say, in 2002, then they took me to court. 2002 to 2006. The attorney was Larry Morrissey. He became mayor in 2005, quit my case, turned me over to one of his lackeys, She quit a month before trial, and I had to find another attorney. That's when we found out that Larry Morris had missed the evidence deadline. I had no evidence to prove up the fact that I was the only investor of $50,000 by the time I was 23 years old. I did nothing but work my tail off. I worked at Woodward Governor 12 hours a day, and I came down here and worked 4 hours a day. Didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't do drugs. All I did was work. The local cartel, including church agents, got hold of me financially, and they never let go. I paid off this property in 1993, helped start the newspaper, and after the local city cartel took me to court, stole $500,000, withheld the evidence, my church friends came in and bought the property. I called them and said, I need help. They came in and bought the property. They financed it through the bank, Amcor, which I didn't know at the time, was never told that the secret banker and largest stockholder was the son-in-law of an apostle of the Mormon Church. And this apostle, or this son-in-law of a Mormon apostle, next in line to be prophet, now owns my property. All right? And when he was the largest stockholder of Amcor Bank, his bank had the mortgage on the top Democrat in town who owned the largest crack house in town, Concord Commons. Never had to make a mortgage payment. Okay, you following this? So that's why when I point to this kind of stuff, I can say, brothers and sisters, I am very thankful to be here today, stand before you, because Ephesians 5:11 says, have nothing to do with the workers of darkness, but rather rebuke them, expose them, which is what I'm doing right here. I'm exposing a secret cartel, what the Book of Mormon warned about, which is the foundation of the Mormon Church, that satanic secret combinations would infiltrate the church and attempt to infiltrate the nation and take over the world for a satanic secret cartel. I had no idea. My former Mormon bishop, son-in-law of an apostle, and then a general authority of the church, now owns my property. Now see, he was a banker. When they defrauded me in court from 2002 to 2006 with two dirty judges, two dirty attorneys, actually four dirty attorneys, including the other side. So when they helped me out in 2006 and bought this property, the banker, son-in-law of an apostle, future general authority, he was the largest stockholder in the bank. He could have sold me this property himself. Instead, he sold it to his real estate company, and they are now my landlords. And this thing right here is from the tenants from right here. My brownstone is being turned in to either a 6-family or a 4-family. I saw yesterday the people in this apartment taking stuff over to my dumpster over here and dumping it off. I figured they'd clean it up at some point. After the 2006 defrauding of me, my LDS guys, friends, the one that wasn't a secret, bought these two properties, which allowed me to buy this one, or at least I'm to hang on to this one. So we paid off my partner. So he got an extra $100,000 in the deal after stealing $500,000 from me. See how they do you? So in 2006 then, came and bailed me out. In 2007, there was a house right here that the city burned down. I have a surveillance tape, shows no lightning strike. The official story is that it was hit by lightning. It was a yellow house right here. I had a surveillance tape going because I had to keep an eye on this property. Well, the surveillance tape shows that there was no lightning strike, and as the arsons in this town stack up, there's dozens of fires in this town, and they just go completely uninvestigated, unsolved, what's the difference, you know? When the city is run by a criminal cartel, and I saw this building burn down without any lightning strike. There was no power to the building, there was no gas to the building. They were planning on tearing it down because the owner of this car dealership right here was buying up all the properties here for his car lot. Well, then his license got pulled, Lincoln Mercury. So he went belly up and the city ends up with everything, right? You see how that works? So my good LDS pals then bail me out and buy these properties, okay? Somehow then they get a deal with the city to get these properties next door, and far beyond, half a block away, they opened up a special Wi-Fi computer center. Now, this apostle that I'm speaking of, he was president of BYU when BYU recruited the largest number of CIA agents of any school in the country, and BYU was private. He was the president of the college. He was also a trustee at the University of Chicago, Rockefeller. So the money trail and influence of this guy goes very deep into the deep state. So right now, I guess I'm going to end this video. Today is January 11th. And like I say, this garbage over here is part of the constant nuisance that I have to constantly be cleaning up. They broke out these spindles when over here they had a big party in an art scene. They had an art scene over here. They had barbecue stand and music, you know, techno just pounding. While they're pounding away over here, somebody was pounding away at my spindles and knocked them all out. You see how they do me? This is constant. This is constant. This money trail goes to an LDS Mormon Bishop General Authority and secret banker of Amcor Bank that went belly up in 2010 for allegations of fraud. These are my friends in the LDS Church who have infiltrated the church. These are not good Mormons. These are infiltrators of the church. And if you know what brownstoning means, I have a suspicion that this is not going to be used just for an apartment. Look up brownstoning. Alright, I'm going to end this video today. We'll do a little 360 here. There's the FRAUDS Hotel, where the Mormons 50 years ago used to meet in a hotel room. Turned out in 1969, the building manager of the FRAUDS Hotel was the bagman for Otto Kerner, Governor Otto Kerner, who then went to jail. So there's a little bit of history downtown here, and I know a little bit of it. Like I say, the kingpins is the city cartel, which includes, the guy that lured me in was Tom Meyer, campaign manager to 3 mayors. His son is now city attorney and campaign manager to current mayor and namesake Tom McNamara. Get that? Tom Meyer, Tom McNamara. Tom Meyer's son is now city attorney and campaign manager for the current mayor. That's his office right there in the corner. Alright, I'm gonna sign out. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I wouldn't even try. But since they've targeted me my entire adult life, there's the owner of the building. His license plate says bankrupt. I guess some people are protected, aren't they? Yep, everything changes. It was a bait and switch. See, they told me if I buy 6 properties from them, from their bank foreclosures, if I bought 6 properties from them, they would sell these back to me. Well, that changed, didn't it? They never had any intention of selling them back to me. So one more thing, right now I'm trying to get my newspaper back. I am the owner of the Rock River Times, a weekly newspaper I helped start in 1993 when I paid these properties off. I'm trying to get my newspaper back, but as you can see, the sabotage, the constant tenants that they send me, I currently have 4 tenants who are withholding their rent, and part of these people. They move in with perfect apartments, And before you know it, they don't pay rent. They claim, you know, fictitious and fraudulent claims that they have bed bugs, like I caused that. Stuff like that. So I'm being targeted by, I have 13 apartment units right now. 6 of them I bought from, I have 13 units, 4 buildings. 3 of the properties I bought from this LDS group here, who did the bait and switch on me. Yeah, buy these 6 properties and we'll sell these back to you. Well, 3 of them went immediately into foreclosure, and the other 3 I hung on to. They went into foreclosure too. I refinanced with the bank. Every one of those properties were inflated in price and fraudulent appraisals. One of them $39,000 above market value that they charged me for, that they sold it to me for. So this is fraud on me in so many ways. It's church fraud by the people who represent themselves as Mormon church authorities, who are actually money launderers. I did tell you that the bank was owned by the owner of my building now, whose bank loaned the money for the largest cocaine public housing complex in Rockford, which was owned by the campaign manager, the head Democrat. He was a campaign manager for the next 3 mayors, 24 years, and now his son is the campaign manager for the new mayor, Tom McNamara. My Mormon bishop, general authority, son of a Mormon apostle, was the banker that loaned Concord Commons that mortgage. Or his bank was, I don't know if he specifically was the one who made the mortgage, but he was the largest stockholder of the bank in 2010 when it went belly up. Concord Commons was not public housing, it was private housing. And the owners, 2 aldermen, Tom Meyer and Art Swanson, were the sole owners of the properties. This is where they take people to go vote. All those people in the public housing are pawns of the Democratic machine, okay? And my Mormon bishop, general authority's bank, loaned the largest cocaine trafficking outlet in Winnebago County the mortgage, and they never had to pay it back. All right, that's enough. Closing out. Hope your day's better than mine. Ciao. It's noon, high noon. Have nothing to do with the workers of darkness, but rather expose them. Ephesians 5:11. Ciao.